Good morning. Peekaboo. Surprise, surprise. Hey, Erica. Hey, Renaissance. Put my camera on, making sure the Wi Fi is going okay. It's a pop up. So I said I'm going to go live. Whoever can come, can come before I leave out for the day. It's a long weekend. It's busy. It's ridiculous over here. Had to do some turnovers for the Airbnb that I don't usually do because it's out of my way, but the other person's are not available. Hey, Darren. Hey, Unbiased. And there was a complaint as well, so I had to go down. Sorry, excuse me. I had to go to Niagara Falls, if you know where that is from Toronto, because there was a complaint. Then when I went to do it, I don't like cleaning when people are there. Hey, Fifi. Good morning, everybody. Let's put it on the screen. The Renaissance. And that was last Friday when I went to the dentist. I went to the dentist, left, and then I had to drive. Got a call. Had to drive all the way to Niagara Falls, and we had to clean. I don't like cleaning when people are already there. So they weren't there, but their stuff was there. So I don't really like doing that. But we had no choice. And, the complaint was valid. The girl didn't, she didn't do nothing. I don't know if she swept. I don't think she even mopped the floor. Just, it was just a hot mess. So after that was all said and done, that guest left a 4 for cleanliness, 4 out of 5, which wasn't too bad considering the complaint. But the lady over there is not really, she's doing a half-ass job at best. And she I don't know, everything that you I was hearing everything that you asked her. She's like, oh, that's deep cleaning, that's like extra. That's not extra. When you have a place, it's not your house, it's like a stage place. It's pretty much empty. There's not much furniture, there's not much stuff there. If you see some cobwebs here and there, you can just take the broom and remove them. It's not like, that's not deep cleaning. When the baseboards are dirty, she's like, oh, that's deep. No one's asking you to go on your hands and knees, but if you're mopping the floor, you just tilt the mop to the side and you kind of run it across the baseboard. Like, I don't understand why you can't just do, like, if you see something, you clean it up, then it doesn't build up. Then I went back yesterday, which is why I couldn't go live, because the owner has the settings. You can't book one night. You have to be 2 nights. Something went through the back end, and there was a 1 night booking for Thursday night, Friday night. And you can't cancel because it looks bad as a host that you have to have a valid reason to cancel. So then we had to fly over there Saturday morning to clean up because there's a guest coming Saturday afternoon. Anyways, I decided to run the mop under the sofa. The sofa was too big for me to move, but you bend down and you're gonna go under the sofa. The amount of party streamers and all the debris from, I don't know, maybe 5 guests back, still under there. Still under there. So that was what's going on over here. And I don't know. People want to get rich off of people for cleaning, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think cleaning is what she's making it worth per hour. So I'm just like, yeah, you're paying to do a job and it's not even clean. Like, to her, mopping is optional. I don't know. I mean, I'm too Caribbean for her. I don't think you should clean and you don't include the mopping in that. But how's everyone doing today? I dropped the link. So tomorrow I'm off, but then I'm not off because I have to go back and clean. Like, Lord of mercy. I had plans in my mind of just leisure and relaxation, but that's not happening. So I'm gonna have to go back again because there's another guest coming. But to be honest, I don't mind because there was another story. There was a leak at that property, so the owner had to cancel through the platform. They had to find the guests other places to stay because there was some when they bought the place, there was some construction in the street and they were upgrading the area. They made a roundabout, they made a whole new traffic area. They made the lawn longer for the owners on that part of the street. They're doing a whole revamp. When she went the other day, the cleaner said, "Oh, there's like water and flooding in the basement." Morning, Cece, in the basement. She called a plumber. A lady called a plumber, getting the guy there, and basically the main sewage for the house was going in the basement because it wasn't connected back to the city line. When they redid the street, they changed the lines and made them, along the lawn. The old line was going across that lawn to the neighbor, like a diagonal, and it was no longer connected to that one or anything. So I guess it was just going, 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 and then finally it had nowhere else to go. I said, because the plumber's like, "Yeah, that's toilet paper. That's this. That's that. This is sewage." We're like, what? I was like, "What?" When I heard, because she sent me the videos and the pictures, I was like, "Oh my god!" So it was literally sewage. So she had to shut it down, and get the plumber, get the city to come in. The city came and realized it wasn't connected, so that's their fault. So they had to redo something, and they're gonna have to pay some of the bill because it's not going to be claimed through the insurance because that was their error. Her side she fixed. Then they found a city grant for a sump pump and all these different grants. So when it's all said and done, most likely it won't cost them anything. You'll be listening in the background. Oh, no problem, Psalms. Um, but right now the basement's a hot mess. So then when I went yesterday and last Friday, I brought the bags of the linens and totes with the linens that we leave in the basement for the turnovers. They're clean and they're folded and put in clear totes, and they're labeled so that all you gotta do is like take a queen sheet, a king sheet, boom, 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 in a special bag. You take them upstairs and you change the linens. And then there's a special color bag for the dirty linens. So that's how it works. Well, everything was taken to a laundry company to wash and sanitize, because even though they weren't in the sewage, everything has to be sanitized. So that's what they're doing. We dropped off. We couldn't fit all of it in one trip. Like there's so much stuff. So I brought stuff. The owner brought stuff to Toronto. Tomorrow is the last load, and then the laundry company is gonna just do like a heavy sanitation with their special machines and the special, whatever they have, and sanitize all the sheets, steam them. I think she presses them as well. This lady's company, um, and get everything back on track. I'm like, oh my god, man. So that's the story. But yeah, the mopping. I don't know how you have to mop. People don't understand that when you mop, that gets rid of the dust on the floor and the dust. Like you have to. You can't just sweep. I hate when people just sweep. It just makes all the dust in the air, and then you're sneezing. She wasn't even sweeping, mind you. Oh, the vacuum cleaner doesn't work. Well, there's a vacuum in the basement, but she says it's too heavy for her to lift. So I really don't know what to tell you. You don't want to lift the vacuum. The one that's in the room is not really a heavy duty vacuum cleaner. That's like a little, light vacuum for like some crumbs. And yeah, so there's some foolishness going on. She was pissed off with the complaint, but you're not doing a good job. So I'm glad it was exposed. I got one complaint, and that was a damn lie. Well, it wasn't a lie, but they must have found the previous guest had a dog, and you're not supposed to have dogs at this location. So the person lied and said it was a service dog. Anyways, they must have the new guest must have bent down and found a one kernel of dog food under the dishwasher. Like I vacuum, I sweep. I'm not gonna go on my hands and need to go dig out for every crumb and crevice. They found one dog kernel kibbles and bits, and want to complain. And the person's like, "No, you can't complain about that. Sorry, not today. That's not a complaint. How can I find a kibbles and bits way underneath the dishwasher?" Anyways, that was that story. Yesterday, when I came back from the Niagara property, we hit an accident. We could see in the distance 3 or 4 flashing lights. So we're like, "Uh-oh, this is not good." So there's about 3 ambulances in front of us. 2 had to pass. We had to pull over because that's the exact spot on the highway where there's no shoulder. It's very narrow. So those of us in the fast lane had to pull over to let the fire truck pass. We had to let two more ambulances pass. Hey, BNC, we had to let the supervisor EMS pass because it said, and then two fire trucks. And I'm like, I don't know what side it's on. I'm the passenger, but I'm like, I think it's on that side. So let's stay in the fast lane because we could see the trucks and all the Winnebagos kind of going to the right. Sorry, to the left, the fast lane. And the accident was on the right. The fire trucks tried to block, but all I could see, I didn't really look because I didn't feel to look. I didn't knew it wasn't good. But we saw somebody on a stretcher. We saw some women around, like I guess they were like with the person, and I saw legs. So I saw like white. So it was a white-ish person, and probably a white person because of the her complexion. And the ladies that were around the stretcher were white. So I'm assuming it's like a family member, and all these cuts all over the legs. And then I think my sister saw the windshield smashed. So I don't know what happened, but something happened. And we're just like, man, why can't people take their time? Like, people were honking at us, people were carrying on. Like, no matter how fast you go, you're not going fast enough for somebody. Go around. But people are like right up against you. I'm like, leave some space. Like, come on. Like, it's not worth. You're rushing to go somewhere, and then you don't even get there. Yeah, Kibbles and Bitch trying to take away my job. So, that was that was unfortunate because it's long weekend, so people were going to the cottage or coming from different cottages. Then the traffic going in the opposite direction, you could see start building up all the way to Hamilton, bumper to bumper traffic. So all of those people now had, and then on the opposite side of the road, there was a pickup truck pulling a trailer, a RV or whatever you call those, the ones that you hitch on and you pull. The back wheel of either the back wheel of the pickup truck, there was no wheel. The wheel was missing. I'm like, maybe he has a flat tire. We're like, nah, there is no tire. So flat. The tire is gone, and there was a police car in front of that vehicle. I guess he's gonna get a ticket. I think if your tire falls off, right, you get a ticket for negligence. Anyways, that was a trust me, when you're going somewhere, you better pray before you leave and ask God for protection because it's the grace of God. You could be doing everything right, but if somebody's tire comes and hits you or whatever, that's it. Too much drama. People looking for a free stay. That's exactly, you got it. They were looking for a free stay. One guest, way back, I'm talking maybe 2 years ago, found a dead mouse in the basement because there might be a mouse in the basement. There's traps there. Brought the mouse up to the apartment the second day and staged it in the middle. It was, these people are so lie. And then we're like, so I got the picture again saying, like, I said, listen, that mouse has been dead for weeks. You know when something's been dead and the mouse body kind of prune up. It's been dead for like 3 months dead. And I remember the mouse being down there, and I asked the handyman to pick it up because I ain't touching no dead mice. And I guess he forgot, and it was there. I'm like, that's not no fresh dead mouse. That mouse has been dead for at least 3 months. And when they went back to the customers, like, and then the husband and wife, it was a husband and wife. No offense, but I find when we get American guests, they are the most sneaky, want to free something. The American guests. No offense, but you know what I'm talking about. They got there on the second day. He was typing in the chat because she gives me the screenshots. My wife was cleaning. You've been there for 24 hours. What are you cleaning? And then why are you cleaning? She took a picture of her cleaning with her shoes on. So that, to me, it's a red flag. You ain't cleaning nothing because nobody is in the house with your dirty shoes talking about you're cleaning and you're vacuuming and then you saw a mouse. Even the story didn't make no sense. Listen, don't try to con artists because you can't be conning me. I just went, So I put a response in and she forwarded it back. I go, that mouse has been in the basement for 3 months. I said to the handyman, go and look in the basement and tell me if that mouse is still there that you forgot to pick up. He said, no, the mouse is gone. Said mouse. So they tried it. What happened here? Well, let me something. Hold on. This my internet is lagging. I can tell, even though I plugged in a direct. Um, hold on. I clicked on Cece's comment, but it's Okay, there it is. Sorry, it's just slow. At 18 wheeler tire blow next to me yesterday. What? Whoa! I'm telling you, this ain't no joke. It's the roads are so treacherous, and then people just don't take it seriously. Leave enough space, take your time, because that can give you the time to react if something happens around you. But people be doing some foolishness and racing and pressuring and tailgate, like, oh my God. Somebody honked at us. I'm like, well, I don't know why you're honking. Is something sticking out my window? Like, is something wrong? Are you trying to warn me? But they're just honking this to honk. And then they drive by you and give you like a side eye finger and a finger and a, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Yeah, the weather, because you're in Texas. Exactly. It makes the tires weak. And some of these drivers don't do circle checks before they pull out. You have to do a circle check. You got to make sure, because what happens to their vehicle can negatively impact somebody else, because they're driving. They're not going to really notice. By the time they notice, you know, yeah. Also, what happened this, something happened this week. Let me just find the actual article. Let's hold on Instagram. Remember I mentioned a few months, maybe last year now, there was a case over here of a licensed firearm person who um defended himself in his home, and we're not allowed over here to do that. But there was at least two armed robbers entered the home in a town called Milton, um suburban area. And from what the original article said, they were like hurting his mother or something. So he had time to go get his firearm loaded up, because he's following the rules. So obviously it's not loaded, it's locked away. He had to go get it, and he fired one shot and hit one person and took them out. And I believe it was a 2 or 3 person crew, and then the others two obviously took off and left. Morning, Starduster, took off and left. He was charged, or he wasn't. Yeah, I think he was charged, but like he was under investigation. The long and the short is that um the Crown dropped the charges, and they dropped the charges. I want to find the wording if I can find it, because I save like a million things a week. No, I don't see it here. There's an organization here called the CF, CCFR, Canadian something firearms. Don't ask me what it stands for. I don't remember. I'm still new to this, but they are kind of like, oh, someone's up here. Who is this? I don't know who that is. In the back, you're gonna have to show me your face. I don't know who that. I don't recognize that name. Who is that? Do I know you though? Hold on? Is that? Do you have a channel name that I recognize? I don't recognize that name. I don't recognize that name. I see your face, but I'm not sure if it's. Hold on. Go in the camera so you're blurry. I think I recognize you, but I'm not sure if it's you. Type in the private chat your channel name so I can see. I don't think I know. Do I know who that is? I don't think I know you, sir. Type in the private chat your channel name. I don't recognize your face. I'm sorry. You look familiar, but unless you shaved your beard, I don't. You look like somebody I think it could be, but I'm not sure. But hold on. So they said that they dropped the charges, but this is not a precedent, so it's not going to be like, okay, now you can go defend yourself in your home. But because he only fired one, that's why. Hold on, let me see here. That's why I guess they said that they didn't see they could get a case. But do I know you? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me check that name out. Sorry, guys, 1 second. I don't recognize that name, so I'm just gonna type the name in the thing and see if I see the channel. I don't know if I've been there before. I don't think so. Doesn't look familiar to me. Yeah, I don't, Fifi. I don't. I don't reckon. I'm just typing the channel name. I don't recognize. Oh, thanks, BNC. I see your I see the. I think it's a super sticker. I don't think I've been to this channel. I don't recognize the name at all, so I don't know. Okay, yeah. I don't know who that's. I don't know. I don't know this channel, so I don't know. I'll have to know you a bit first before I let you up. So I'll have to know you a bit first before I let you up. I don't think I've seen you here before, so um, you can hang out, and once we get to know you a bit, then we'll let you come up on the lives. I'm not gonna be the first the first to test that out. So um, I don't think anyone knows that name in this community. So it's not just me. I don't recognize that name. So yeah, he wasn't charged. Have you heard about the pastor? Hold, I think so. Is that the hold on, let me read this. Have you heard about the pastor who was charged for inciting mischief just because his in a sermon he told people to stand up for um this was the name, guys. I don't know. That was the name of the channel. I don't recognize that channel name. Well, whoops it. I don't recognize that name. He showed me his face, but I don't recognize the name. I said, "Is that your channel name?" I don't. I've never seen him before on my lives. If you guys have seen that name before, then let me know. But I don't think you guys know that name either. I haven't seen him on the lives that I've been in. So just in case, yeah. Once someone's been around for a while, then you kind of maybe will let them up. The name, yeah, that name up there, FA, yeah. So he wasn't charged, thank God. But I think part of it goes back to a lot of the 2A community talking about different scenarios and behavior. And the behavior is he fired once. It wasn't about being, okay, it's not just me. Um and you have to be a subscriber to type. No, you don't have to be a subscriber. I dropped the link, so he just clicked the link. He's not chatting in the chat. Sometimes you got to use your head. Um and he didn't, pow, 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 pow. It was, strategic one to disable them. And I don't understand how you get charged. Like, it still, irritates me because, like, you have three people in your home, two or three people in your home. Exactly, Starduster, exactly. Sometimes you're like, hold on, is it just me? No, it's not just me. Okay, I see you, Darren. See, I know right away who this is. Don't let random
Ah,
probably a case study. Don't let random people up on your panel, guys. If you haven't seen them before, I know I dropped the link, but he hasn't. You have to be a sub to type in my chat. That's how I make it. So I've never seen that person in my chat. So maybe this is a lesson for you guys to learn as well. Like, if you haven't seen them in your chat, engaging with people in the community, I don't think you should be the first to let them up on your live. Let somebody else do that.
Yeah, that's true because I've been hearing stories that someone would put some weird stuff on the screen, then tell YouTube that you're a pervert or something. Next thing you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And we
you
all
gotta.
working hard to build, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to
It,
be
it,
taken down because of somebody else.
exactly. I was reminded of a funny story when you was talking about that home invasion. I don't mean to make that funny, and I apologize if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
comes
Hey,
across
Dusty,
that way.
go ahead. No, I was saying hi to
Oh,
Lydia.
oh, no, no problem. But in our home, I have some armament. I'm gonna say that. I don't really brag about what I have upstairs, but I have a small set of equipment. And I remember one night, me and my wife was sleeping, and the alarm went off. It was going crazy, and I go,
Hmm.
what happened? And she said the alarm went off, and I was like, the alarm went off. What do we do? And she goes, I don't know. You're the man. Do something. I said, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? We bust out laughing
Hmm.
because both of us didn't know what to do. But I've got this cannon
But she's
in a
like, it's
bag.
your job. You have to handle it, not me.
Exactly. I have this cannon in a bag next to my bed that I could have grabbed, and we were just sitting there cracking up and saying, "Well, I ain't going down there." And, it was so funny. And I'm doing the and when I finally got up enough nerve to put some clothes on and look around like I'm Batman and going around with a flashlight, I didn't even bring the gun because I would have shot up the fireplace. Because what happened was one of the logs had fell over and it hit the motion, and it set the
That heat,
alarm off.
yeah.
So and we just laughed and laughed, and I was like, "Oh, thank God it was nothing," because you're not prepared. Everybody does.
No, no.
We don't understand that there's a lot to owning a gun and being prepared, and you have to be prepared to defend your house and all that stuff. And I just thought call you and let you know that I thought that was kind of funny at the time. Um,
I'm telling you, like some of the stuff that I've seen, like oh my god, and it's like a moth or it's like a bird, like it's like you literally go on to 10, like oh my god, and then it's like oh, it's just a
exactly.
it's
I'm
like
like, oh
whatever.
my
But it's a
god.
scary feeling, like your adrenaline just like pumping. Oh my god, someone's trying to, what are they trying to do? And yeah, you know.
Exactly. And my backyard's like that too. I remember, when I leave in the morning to go back on the road or whatever, it's old dark 30, and my backyard is dark as heck. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first neighbors used to be out there walking their dog, and I heard a voice, hello, and I was like, I jumped and took off. And I ran back in the house, locked the doors, barricaded the place, and forget this. I'm not going. I'm not leaving for to get back on the road till the sun come up. It's like, oh my god.
It's a scary. We're. It's a scary feeling. I'm telling you, it's a very scary feeling. But I'm kind of the person that would be like roll over in my sleep. My family's always been like, "What are you doing?" Like I'm telling you, it's a problem. I'm like, if I ain't losing sleep over it, like go back to bed. If I wake up, then something's wrong. Like you kind of
Yeah,
feel like wait, something's really wrong.
and
But I'm
see
like,
where
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, where I live, it's it's a deer major highway. They walk across my front yard. They go through the broken up fence, and it used to set my the alarm off. The cameras would go on and whatever. Then I finally got one of those cameras that had night vision, and I
Hmm.
seen. I said, "Oh, it's deer. It's deer." They're just walking through the backyard. So now I'm good. Now I'm good. So I I used to wonder why is my light coming on all the time because I had that motion detector light on my back porch, and it would
Hmm.
pop up. It would pop up, and my said, "Why is this light coming on?" I said, "Well, something's out there. I just hope it ain't the chupacabra," but it wasn't.
I find people like we're turning into such a society where we want to monitor everything.
Yeah,
Every like it's like we're so high strung because it's like cameras and sensors and motions and what's going on. It's like half the time it's a mouse, it's a bug, it's a fruit fly flying by the sun. Like it's something so minute, but we're so on red alert and who moved past the front door. Like people can't even do nothing anymore.
yeah,
Nothing. You're on the
yes,
ring cam, you're on this camera, you're on that. Like we gotta relax a little bit. We all gotta
yeah.
relax. Like.
Yeah, exactly. But I was so happy you finally got your seeds.
Yeah, I got them. I think they came on Wednesday. Hold on, when did they come? But I had to go pick them up, and I'm like, then I got busy, and then I got it yesterday. Then I'm like, this is a huge card. It was like 8.5 by 11. It was like huge. I'm like, I'm picturing
I,
a smaller. Hey Gina, I was picturing a smaller card. I'm like, this is
yeah,
huge.
I was in Walmart looking for a car. I said, let me find a goofy
It
car.
came on Monday. If to know that it
Yeah,
came on Monday, and that's how long I didn't
it,
go pick it
and
up.
and when I spotted the car, I just couldn't stop laughing. And then when they told me the price, I said, "Oh my God, it's more than the seeds." But then I just couldn't. I said, "I think this would be hilarious." I laughed the whole time that I was putting writing your name and everything on it.
I
I
was
just
laughing. I'm seeing this My Little Pony card, a unicorn, and I'm like laughing. I opened it yesterday, and they're like, "This." So we have it on the table, still at the house, at their house, and I'm like, I gotta take a picture of it and put it on the community tab because this card is ridiculous. That it
I
just
just
shows your personality. I'm like, My Little Pony, My Little Pony. I'm trying to remember the song. Can't remember the song, but no, this is huge.
and I laughed so hard, even though I'm such a cheapskate. I said, "Oh my God," it is. And the guy said, "Do you want to send it first?" Because I said, "Nah, man, you got a fourth class." I'm trying to save some money.
No, but
And
honestly, I don't think it took more than what, a week or two. So
yeah,
that was
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you sent it on was enough because it wasn't too expensive, but I got it in a decent time. So
yes.
I'm like, yeah, that was fine.
I,
Hey,
I just,
Howie,
I just had such a ball sending it. I was like,
I was
"Please let
laughing.
it
I'm
go
like, this is
through,"
the
because
big. So I'm gonna put it on the card wall. That card was hilarious.
See, I was crying. I was crying when I mentioned it this morning. I mean, oh my God. See,
I
that's what,
had it and I meant to go get, it and I just haven't. I'm like, you just it's right over there. I got to go drive and pick it up. Just kept forgetting, and I'm like, then
yeah.
they said, "Here's the card," because we went up yesterday at a barbecue, and then I'm like, "This is a huge like the envelope is literally like the size of an 8.5. Like it was huge. I can't even
Yes.
find something that big. I'm like, this is a. He wasn't joking. Then it was jingling. I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah, I was like, this ain't gonna make it. It's not gonna make it there. But I had so much fun looking for it, putting it in, it just brought so much fun.
It was fun to
So
get though. Yeah, it's
yes,
nice getting mail. It's funny, like in this modern day and time, it's nice getting mail and not getting a letter or a card. Like
yeah,
it's such a nice treat. So it's like, oh my goodness, and it's like a big old unicorn with a princess hat on. It was just
and it turned out you said your birthday.
it
You
was
just
my
had
birthday.
one.
Yeah, I'm on
Yeah,
July the 8th.
and I just had so much fun. And that's what I kind of like to try to talk about being positive, staying positive, and positive things will just rub off on you. And it just was so. I was and when I kept on looking, you said you had mentioned. I was like, I said I hope she
Yeah,
got it. It was
there was one live. Well, Monday's live now. No, it was probably
yeah,
your Tuesday live because Monday I got the text that it was there, and I think I typed
yeah,
it in the chat, and you said, "Okay, I'm going to read the chat later because I always read the chat after."
yeah,
Morning triple, you always read the chat. I said, "Okay, you'll read it after because I know you're driving." So I thought you
yeah.
read it, but I guess you didn't. But then I'm like, I have to just go up
I
and get mine.
forgot. Yeah, I
So
forgot. I'm just giggling now because I thought it was just so funny. Oh,
it was
one more
funny.
thing. I just want to. I
Mid
want one
July
more thing. I
stuff,
wanted to ask you.
before Triple's birthday.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
I wanted to ask your opinion on something, and it's on TikTok and all the stuff on all the channels. There was some lady, African American, because you had mentioned that too on earlier. African American was in Jamaica, and she threw water in the face of this a Jamaican worker, and tried to walk away, and that lady let her have it.
No, they'll
And
beat your ass. They'll beat your
yeah,
ass. She's
and
our friend. Come on.
and a friend, the friend tried to intervene, and that lady swatted her away like she wasn't nothing. And and I'm noticing this, and I'm not attacking you women, and please forgive me if y'all think I am, but I'm noticing you don't see any Black American men doing this when they go off, into other countries. Like you had that one woman that was over in the Arab,
Dubai.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Dubai, knowing that you didn't do your homework. You cannot be beefing with these people, and for you to act with that manly overtones, to think that you can get away with all that yelling and screaming, and now she's on her way to prison. See,
I don't know. I don't know if they think it's a manly overtone. They're used to getting their own way. This is the
yes,
problem. People are used to getting their own way, and they're used to talking to people anyhow, complaining about anything, getting free. Like they're just used to this spoiled behavior, and in their mind, because I'm a woman, you can't hit me, you can't whatever, because I'll call the police, or I'll charge you, or there's always some kind of defense of their bad behavior. And you go to
exactly.
other places, like for the one in lady in Dubai, when somebody like went through the laws, there's another channel I watched, and she went through the laws, and she's not Muslim, but her father was Muslim, and she's like, you have to understand the culture of where you're going to, and it's not America, and it's not just Dubai. Even some African countries have the same kind of setup. You do not raise your voice and yell and be belligerent in public. The video that I saw made it sound like because she just raised her voice. No, she was being belligerent. She was being disrespectful. She was making a scene. That behavior over there is vulgar. They don't tolerate that kind of vulgar behavior. When you're presenting
Exactly.
yourself, you don't talk over people. You let them, like, there's a way that you conduct yourself, and they don't bend, they don't water it down. You came over here, you better act like how down to even the dress code
Exactly.
over there. You can't go over there wearing bati riders and all them, something maybe in the touristy area, but you better cover up and be more modest. When you go to their temples to see like the sightseeing and stuff, you have to put on certain garments that you're not allowed in there wearing your secular clothing. And people think they can
Exactly.
go over there with their Americanized whatever, and that don't work over there. And to the Jamaican staff, some people, you can't control how somebody reacts. They don't care if they're on the job. If you disrespect them, you're gonna
Yeah.
get what you're gonna
Oh,
get.
yeah. And yeah. Oh boy,
And for
she lit
me,
up.
you can call me any name in the book, but if you spit on me, it's over.
Oh yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
No, I understand.
If I
And
even feel if I feel a droplet, if I feel even a mist, it's over.
and
It's over.
I, I can tell you a story that we had. There was a misunderstanding in the restaurant. Me, my wife, my son, and and I finally got fed up. We got overlooked, and we said something to the waitress, and the waitress started raising her voice, and I almost started raising my voice back, but then my wife was sitting there listening, and the fear that came over me when she interjected and she did not raise her voice, the tone didn't change. It was so mellow that when she said, "Excuse me, who are you talking to in that voice?" And she just when I want to speak to the manager, and she didn't raise her voice. She had no anger in it. But I tell you, I ain't afraid of no man. But I was petrified, and I just shut up and it was more. I thought I was in trouble when she was letting that lady know, and she broke it down. So there's ways where you can show the power or authority that you have without raising your voice and acting
Correct.
and
Correct.
acting the complete fool. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And we could be these Karens or Kens, but when you show that tone in the proper tone and have the words to back it up, even the manager will, oh, I'm so sorry, and blah, blah, blah. It's not a defensive because you didn't do nothing. I'm not attacking you, but I need to let you know where the miscommunication and the problems come from. And
Mhm.
that's where I like. Okay, if I got to release the crack in the boss lady, y'all gonna get it. So you might as well want to deal with me. But I'm
Exactly.
just saying. I'm
Sorry, my
just
throat.
saying. That's why I laugh. I love watching your show because when you get frustrated, your Jamaican accent comes out, and it just makes my day. It make you don't know. I'm driving this truck, I'm swerving, and I'm cracking up because your
Don't hurt
accent comes
nobody.
out. I know. That's why. Look, I better get in the far right now because I be cracking up. I said, "Oh Lord, they done pissed her
People don't
off."
know how to speak to people, and it's a lost art, unfortunately. And
Exactly.
I was in customer service for years, and that's when I kind of learned because, man, working 8 hours and being yelled at for 8 hours or it's like, oh my God. I had to leave that job because after a while you get jaded. It's like, you know what? F you, mama. I don't care about your damn problem. Suck it up, you little, like you want to just tell them about, their whole business. And you're like, okay, I'm on the job, I'm on the clock. But it's so, like, you get more when you
Yeah.
speak nicely. You catch more flies with honey, or whatever the saying goes. Being nice, being respectable, saying,
Well,
"Listen, I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy with this. I don't think this is appropriate." Like, you can do it in a ladylike way or a classy way. You don't have to be, throwing temper tantrums and smashing things. And I want my, like, you
exactly.
see these videos, people in, like, even a fast food restaurant. Most times, fast food restaurants, it's kids, somebody's kid working there, like high schooler or college age child serving you your food, and you're going over the counter, like, what are you doing? What is
Exactly.
you didn't get my food fast enough, you forgot my this. You know how many times I get the wrong order every week? Half the time I didn't order this and I got the wrong order. Do you think I'm gonna be driving back and grabbing people from the window? Come on.
Yeah. Exactly.
The
And,
problem is that we have an anger problem. A lot of people have an anger problem, and they blame it on, oh, I had bad service. No, you have an anger problem. There's
yeah.
something wrong with you.
And I'll use myself as an example. I had to check myself the other day. I was driving through Louisiana and I was crossing the highway to make a left. So I
Hmm.
look right, I look left, and then I looked again, and then I commenced to come out. So you could tell by the situation when I was making that turn. Uh, uh, I was already in the midst of making that turn. A truck was on my far right, and he was screeching to a halt. So he must have been hauling holy,
A
what?
heavy load, yeah.
No, no, no. He was just a pickup truck. He was
Oh, pickup
hauling,
truck, okay.
yeah. So I came in his way, but he was getting it. So I did not see him. I didn't see him, but he was so upset, give me the finger, waving me on to come up so he could tell me how effed up I am. So I realized first thing I said is, "Hey, Darren, get your head out your butt. You almost caused an accident, even though I did not see him. I looked and then looked twice."
Hmm.
And he was driving and driving, give me the finger, come on, come forward. See, now I could have added to it and said, F you, F the horse you rode in on, F your shoes, F your, I could have went down the line. But I didn't because I accepted that I'm the professional here and I, almost started an accident even though I did not see you. And I said, you know what? And he was, swerving in front of me the whole 9 yards. I said, I slowed down, let him get up there, got off the off ramp, parked there for a minute, give this guy time to run, get my head in the game because I'm driving. If you notice, I don't look at the camera. I'm my
You
head in the
watch the
game.
road. Yeah, watch the
Yes,
road.
I've got my head in the game, and I don't want to hurt nobody, and I don't want to be hurt because I could have got these people. They carry guns nowadays. He'd shoot. He said, "Well, he was black. He shot me. He was brandishing a gun. Where I can't carry a gun in here. It could have been any excuse. So I had to say, okay, I'll take the L. I didn't mean it. I got to work on
Hmm.
it, and move forward. We like you said, we have anger problems. I have a short temper too, but I also have to check myself daily. Look, you're the professional. Be a professional. Even though
Hmm.
I don't think I'm being paid for it, but be the professional.
I find
be,
sometimes we don't think, all of us, myself included, and it also comes with maturity too. You didn't think that you could ever really be wrong. Like you have a viewpoint where it's like, it wasn't me. I didn't like. It's always an excuse that we seem to make. Like we couldn't be wrong. Yes, you
yes,
didn't see the person, but that's your responsibility to check your blind spot. But none of us are perfect. We all we can't see everything in every crevice in every corner. But the point is that we need to humble ourselves, whatever it is, and say, you know what, my apologies. You know what, sorry. Thank God we didn't have it. But people want to be like, oh no, wrong and strong. Oh no, that's not me. I didn't do anything wrong. Somebody did something
exactly,
wrong. Like somebody had to start initiated something that caused this to happen. And
yeah,
sometimes it's
exactly,
us. Like we can
exactly,
be humble and admit, yeah, maybe I missed it. Maybe I glanced away and he came up. I don't know what happened, but I didn't intend to do that. But
exactly.
we have this
I
attitude, and you encounter people and they're so obnoxious. Like they're so obnoxious with it. Like
yes,
you were in the wrong, and now I'm hitting your attitude. Then that's when it starts to flare up. Then before you know it, you're beefing because it's like their attitude made it so disgusting.
yep, yep, exactly. But I'm gonna go ahead and step down. I just wanted to say hey
Hey,
and
hey,
find out about that card.
yeah, the My Little Pony.
Oh my God! It made my day. I'm happy it brought a smile to your face.
you know,
But you have a blessed
you
day, and
too. Be safe
yeah,
on the
yeah,
roads.
I'll be sitting. I'll be back in the
The chat.
in the weeds listening. So I got
Okay,
to get
thank
back on
you.
the road later.
Be careful. Bye bye. So true, Texas. Exactly. Sometimes you're right. You got to be humble. It's just like I think we, myself included, not talking to anybody, but I have to always learn and grow. We're so reactionary to things, and we got to think or figure out why are we so reactionary. Is it something that we haven't dealt with? Like, why are we, you know, someone just says something and then you're just flaring up, always defending yourself, and always like in defense mode. Something's not too right. I'm not gonna go too much longer 'cause I don't want to be late to where I'm going, but it's just too, maybe half an hour more, too reactionary. We need to calm down. Even yesterday we were irritated. Mind you, I had a right to be irritated. I got to the barbecue that I was supposed to be going to. We got there late because I had to go to Niagara. Niagara's all way on the other, near the Buffalo border, basically. To drive all the way back to Toronto, to actually Brampton, to go to the park that the event was at. Then the accident that was on the road, that thank God we got there in time where we kind of got there in the beginning of the paramedics and the trucks coming to block it off. So when you're at the beginning, you kind of get to go by, but you don't have to be in the buildup of the traffic, because you don't know, if we left a half an hour later, there would have been a buildup and then you wouldn't have gotten anywhere. And I don't know any side streets from Niagara to get to even to Hamilton. I don't know any other routes. It's just the main 400 highway, 401. So we were on the road for 3 hours to get stuff done, to go to an event. Oh, you're late. You're late. First of all, you know, try to be nice. I really do try to be nice. And I wasn't hungry. So thank God I wasn't hungry. Then I would have been really irritated and grouchy. But this is not a 9 to 5 job. I don't have to come at any particular time. If I want to come at the last 5 minutes, that's my business. I don't have to come at any particular time. It's an event that I'm not running, I'm not volunteering at, and I'm not cooking any food. I was bringing a cake, which is at the end, and I brought the watermelon, and we brought something else. Like, really? Not like, okay, good to see you guys. Yeah, we are late. We had stuff to do. There's very few Saturdays that I can schedule a whole day of just sitting in the park picking my nose, doing nothing, hanging out with people. That's not realistic in an adult life. That's tricks are for kids. Grown people who have responsibilities gotta clean their house on Saturday mornings. Usually, you're doing some kind of laundry, you're prepping something for the week, and probably Sunday dinner. You're doing some kind of prep. You're getting stuff done just to get to the event to have maybe a 2 hours of relaxing time to hear, oh, whatever. Then last year when I went to the event, I know I mentioned to the family members, the elders, listen, I eat meat, but I don't eat meat like how you guys eat meat. You need to have more dishes that are not so meat based. And people in my family don't eat meat. So when we went home, I'm like, why are you nibbling on all these snacks? And then they're like, we didn't get to eat nothing. The only thing that was vegetarian was the rice and peas, the white rice, the mac and cheese, because they eat dairy but not meat. And the soup was corn soup, but it had chicken in it. So there was nothing for them to eat except for desserts. They're not gonna eat desserts. They drink some pop. Who's having rice without gravy? Like, there's not much for people to eat. And they had whole hamburgers and sausages. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I keep saying to family and even the church, you have to have, morning, Nikki, anything that's a side dish, in my opinion, should be vegetarian. If you're going to make soup, make the soup vegetarian so that people who don't eat whatever can at least drink the soup. If you're going to have, salads, don't put no bacon bits on it. Like, make the sides vegetarian. Then the person asks for the fish. Well, you came late. First of all, most times people hold the fish back for only people who eat only fish. If you don't eat only fish, then you don't get a piece of fish. You get the chicken, the curry goat, all the other stuff that they had there. They hold back the fish for those who are truly pescatarian. So even though we got there late, dinner was just being served. So why wasn't there any fish for the fish eaters? So literally, next time we're gonna have to eat before we go because I'm not eating all that crap. I don't eat that anymore. So it's very, now I know how vegans, well, some kind of how they feel when you go to events and you have to eat before you go or you got to bring your own food. Because I'm not eating that. I've come too far in health and wellness to go back to eating them foolishness. And not even that. I sit here and talk to you guys every week about what's in the food, what's in the food, what's in the chemical, in the raising of the food. I'm not eating that. I had a pop yesterday. Yes, I wanted to try a blueberry ginger ale, and then they had a watermelon something, and then I did have some curry goat. But in terms of me eating that every day, nah, man, that's once in a blue moon. I don't think yeah, I want to go back to that clogged arteries and sluggish lifestyle. Stay low and hidden to survive. Caves and underground rooms are your safety with escape. Hopefully. You know what? And funny enough, you say that, Howie. On the way home, because I was the passenger, I was looking to my right on the shoulder. So I noticed when we approached an overpass, well, I guess it's an overpass because it was over us. And you see the ramp going onto the highway, and there's like usually a bushy area. Sometimes it's concrete, sometimes it's trees, whatever. It's like that unused area. And I saw in the trees, in like kind of hidden, and you're going so fast on the highway that you don't really notice it. So that's actually a good spot. Somebody had a tent in there, and the only reason why I noticed it was because, again, they're using that damn blue tarp. If they had the brown tarp that looked like soil, I would not have seen his little hidden, him or her, whoever I should say, he hidden house in that bushy area. There's a tent, so somebody is living in a tent in that area. Either they're homeless or maybe that's like their getaway spot to get away from the family. Who knows? But they live there on the side of the highway, and it's not likely that they're gonna get caught or get moved away because they're not in that like tent city where it's like a whole bunch of people taking over a park. It's a single person or two people hidden away in the shrubs, and the only reason why I saw them was because of that damn blue tarp. But homelessness is a problem, and I don't know if you guys heard on the news. It's been on, should be on the news. like international news, the African refugees that were sleeping on the streets of Toronto. Um, yeah, it's a problem. I know firsthand. There's a church, fairly large church in North York, in Toronto, but not really in downtown Toronto, that has taken over 200 refugees in. At first, when they went, took them in, totally impromptu, like they didn't have things set up. And then one of the refugees left and went back downtown and telling the news media, which pissed me the hell off. Oh, he didn't feel comfortable and this and that. There's only two washrooms. From somebody who was sleeping on the street with no washrooms to sleeping in a building where they're feeding you and trying to get you stuff with two washrooms. I think that's an upgrade. But he complained that this ugh. So anyways, you have to ignore it. So the church had to get set up with porta potties. Like they weren't set up. They weren't expecting to take so many people. And before you know it, they took 200. Another church took a whole bunch of people. From what I heard last week, they dropped off about 40 more people amongst the two churches. There's a lot of people. But I'm proud to say that church is doing it. My small church is a very small church. Donated a couple of thousands to the church to feed the people. Some of the people that I know who have restaurants had to donate food to serve them for dinner because when they dropped off these extra 40 people, they didn't have any food. I guess because they're on I want to say rations, like they cook so much per day. They serve the food so that nothing's wasting because you have to have a tight budget and a tight ship. You have to have volunteers around the clock. So some people that I know have volunteered. I'm trying to go there to volunteer because I can probably clean the washrooms and do stuff like that and drop off. They have a list of stuff that they need, like toiletries and whatever. So I think I'm gonna put a post next week and ask if those who want to donate from a certain date to a certain date, like my buy me a coffee, I'll just make that from a certain date to a date to that. And then I'll go to Costco and I'll just buy what I can buy with the money and drop it off. So like female product, sanitary napkins, soap, toothpaste, stuff like that that they can have and have, what they need, body wash. Um, People are going in their closets and taking all their brand new stuff that they haven't worn with tags on them and just dropping it off and letting people have clothes, notebooks and stuff. Like, it's almost time for back to school. So, but there's a lot going on over here in terms of the refugees. I don't know. Some people are very upset because other groups of people have come here and they didn't have to go on the streets. So that's a whole other conversation that we're not going to go into today. But people are rallying. I know somebody personally who's one of the chiefs of a particular fire department, firehouse. His crew donated a whole bunch of groceries to the refugees. A lot of people who were new immigrants, know how it feels, and the people are taking care of the people. I don't see much government intervention. Um, there's trying to get them housing now and get them people to rent to them, but that's a whole other problem because again, landlords want to get their rent money. We can't be stuck with people that we can't evict and then you're not getting rent. But they're trying to find housing. The shelters didn't take them in, which is why they were on the street. Then people had to donate tents and tarp to keep them out the elements. It's embarrassing. It's actually very embarrassing. It's ridiculous. The way that people are treated in a first world country, supposed to be, one of the top places to live. Sure, on the sidewalk, I guess. I totally understand the feeling. When I was trying to be vegan for a couple of months, my husband's cousin got all offended at me when I wasn't eating their food. But even the pasta salad had. That's what I'm saying. Let me catch up with the chat before I keep babbling for another about 15 so minutes. Let me look at nature and check out ghillie suits and make yourself look unnoticed. Glue some garbage to your clothing and lay in the ditch, and no one goes near garbage. Wow, that's a good tip. But yeah, exactly. um, do these refugees realize how cold it gets up here? What? They were hoping to be in the homeless shelter, so I think they've opened up more spots to the homeless shelter. My concern is this: although the church is doing a good work and they're helping, the main church that's doing it, like this is a full-time staffed what's the word? Like a staffed initiative. Like you need to have people who are cooking the food and providing the food that costs money. You need people, like I don't feel that volunteerism is sustainable is what I'm trying to say. Um the government, and we pay taxes, has money. They need to find funding to, if hopefully the church is getting funding to fund this initiative. People can't be volunteering every day all day cooking. You got to have cleaners, you have to have people providing activities, you need people to secure and patrol, you have to rent porta potties, they have to rent like a truck or something to have external showers because they're not built with showers. There's a whole thing that you have to run a shelter. It doesn't just run itself. It takes people, it takes staff, it takes money. They need places to wash clothes. They need like a laundry. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. And if we're not careful and we're doing all this stuff, the government will leave you high and dry to keep doing it, and it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So I know they're trying to find housing, but there's a lot of people, at least 200, still in the basement of this church. I'm telling you, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of work just to do this. And I'm glad they did it, don't get me wrong, but it's not sustainable. So I hope there's people who are pushing the new elected mayor, not to stop asking the federal government for money, but to do what she can do as well, because they shouldn't have been on the street. And there's plenty of schools that have been shut down, and they're not being used, but they have a big old gym, they have a big old mess hall, they have a big old cafeteria. They could have locked off all the other wings and had a section off that they had temporary housing until a certain date, and then push, hey, black guns, and push to get the shelters. The point is, this is the point, and it's hard to see, hard to say. Irregardless of the refugees, I don't know about your city, but there's a high homeless population. In Since the 2020 to now, the amount of people that are homeless is astronomical. The amount of people at different corners begging in suburban areas is astronomical. The amount of people who are either unemployed or underemployed, the amount of, one lady I saw on the article, her mortgage was 2,000 or something per month. Because of all the rates, it's now 6 grand. She has to sell. People who have a decent job can't even afford what they've been affording, and it's a slippery slope. And some people have to sell now and go back, which is also a good thing, go back to cohabitating with family, where you have your multi-generational people living together in a home, and you pool your resources. All this, even what I'm doing, living alone in a house, that's going to come to a harsh halt. People can't afford the rates for the mortgage rates are so high that if you still on a variable, most of your payment is going towards interest and not even the principal. So the working class is the working poor, and the homelessness is ridiculous. It's bad. Then you add on top of that asylum seekers, refugee seeker. The system is stretched. It's stretched. And everyone's asking for donations and in kind. You can't run a system just on volunteerism and in kind. It costs some money. So I don't know what's happening in your cities, but take a look, drive up and down some of the old neighborhoods. Some of the rough neighborhoods that were always rough, the nice neighborhoods are looking just as rough in terms of people hanging out on the street, loitering. We can't have our banks like at night. We used to be able to put your card in and go into the vestibule and go in and do your ATM stuff. They have to lock those up. People are going in there sleeping to keep warm in the wintertime. It's gotten bad. The people on the street with mental illness and homeless, walking around not dressed warm enough, and you can see their hands and their limbs getting frostbite. Like it's a problem. It's bad. It's bad. It's from my childhood to now, the It used to be like you go to downtown Toronto and that's where you saw the homeless people. Nope. I'm seeing them in Oakville. I'm seeing them in Milton. I'm seeing them in Mississauga. I'm seeing them in Niagara Falls. I'm seeing them in St. Cath. I'm seeing them in all the suburban, quote unquote, nice areas. I'm seeing them all over the place. Burlington, I'm seeing it's real. And that was before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, oh my God. Some of my it's bad. And the use of substances has gone up, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. Substance abuse has gone up astronomically. Um, People who should be in hospitals falling through the cracks. I even saw a video of somebody. What state was it? I don't want to say the wrong state, but some city in the states where they're rolling people, the security out the hospital and dumping them on the sidewalk. When my students moved to a third world country to live, they sold their houses and left. I could not believe it. It's bad over here. It's bad. It's bad. Homelessness is a problem, and you know people talk about the master plan and you'll own nothing and be happy. You can see how easy it's going to be because people can't afford to eat food, they can't afford to pay their bills. They have to choose in some countries and even North America, am I paying my mortgage and my bills or am I buying food? That shouldn't be a choice. And from what I saw, I don't know if anybody in the chat saw, they were talking about the most current, it was either the UN meeting or one of them World Economic meetings. And all the countries were discussing if food is a human right. And the only country that did not agree was the US of A, saying that food is a human right. Why are we even having a conversation? Some of these things are very crafty. Why do we need to have a conversation about food being a human right? That should have just been automatic. No, they're having a big conversation. And the US did not want to put it as a human right. Oh, yeah, this is Toronto, Gina. It's bad. I'm going to talk about it next week. Talk about it next week. And show you the article, show you some of the clips. It's embarrassing. I was getting messages from people that I know who are pissed off, like, why are the Africans on the street? Why are the other people them on the street? We let in so much people from Ukraine, we let people from all kind of countries. Never once did they have to go and sleep on no sidewalk. They put them up in hotels. What happened to all those hotels they had at the airport that they were locking up people to do quarantines in when they came back from a country? They had a whole hotel with quarantine to quarantine people. What happened to that hotel? Why can't you put them in there to keep sheltered until they can get into the system and get their applications done? On the sidewalk. The only reason that they had tent and tarp was because people put together and go buy them tent and tarp so they could have some shelter. And totally embarrassing. People going down, recording and sending the videos and letting us see like firsthand what's going on. Then the media goes there with their fake self, think it's fake self. Oh, like they care. But you're going back to your bed at night, and what did you do to help these people? Then you have to then the reporter had to go on there and put the man complaining about the church that there's only 2 washrooms. What are you doing, reporter? What have you helped these homeless people on the sidewalk? Why are you even putting that on air? Like these media people, you better be careful what you listen to because they're so trickified. They will focus the story on something else about the church not having enough washrooms when the issue is why are they on the sidewalk in the first place? That's the issue. Why hasn't the mayor done any, why are you having meetings with the media? Oh, we're going to ask for funding and when this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. This is listen, I'm all this flapping of your gums ain't giving them nothing to eat and not giving them nowhere to sleep. All these meetings, and all this I'm if the late great Rob Ford I don't think they would have been on no street if Rob Ford was still the mayor of Toronto. He passed on with a sickness. He was one of those mayors that would smoke weed, didn't care, and would, man, that mayor, he would say, if you don't get something done, you call my line directly and he'll get it done. And I don't think anybody had a problem that he didn't get addressed. Whether it was Toronto housing, public housing, when they had a roach and bug infestation and they didn't fix it, the mayor came down and dealt with the case. That mayor would be at the Jamaican restaurants, smoking and chilling and drinking. And listen, I don't care. Do what you want in your own leisure time. I'm not one of those people like, oh, you can't smoke weed when you're mayor or you're a government official. Do whatever the hell you want to. You're the one carrying that load, not me. That man made sure things were done. He is the only when he was a city councilor. He was the only councilor that always came in so far under budget. He even pens and pencils and all these things that they waste money on to run an office. He had such a minimal budget, showing that it can be done. He had his own business where his wealth came from. The money that he made from the government was to serve his community. He didn't go there to get rich. He said, I have my own money, my own business. The taxpayers' dollars are not going to be wasted on donuts and coffee machines and all this foolishness. Rob and his brother Doug Ford is now the Premier of Ontario. But that family, but Rob Ford, telling you, he didn't play with taxpayers' money. Whether you liked him or not, he didn't play around with the money. His money wasn't moving funny, and he made sure he was under budget, and he did things for the community. He didn't do it for himself. He's supposed to be a civil servant. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Hold on, I'm just catching up with the chat. When it comes down to it, I will dig a cave if that's what it takes. You are a good forager, so you will have no problem buying food, getting food and fruits and finding stuff. You know how to forage. But yeah, I want to get goats and sheep, maybe. Sorry, my internet I know is lagging. I'm trying to see. Over here, there's people that came from as far as Brazil just to stand on a corner holding a sign. The sign is written in perfect English somehow, but the lady was speaking Portuguese. I hear the side. I can hear the side eye, Sam. I hear that. Perfect grammatical English. But then, she's giving one lady fresh vegetables. But she turned them down and only wanted money. Yeah, that's what I too much talk, Nikki. Yep, too much talk. They were on the street, and it's like, and I was talking a few months ago. Tents aren't cheap. Like we're talking about prepping. A good tarp isn't cheap. Tents aren't cheap. Those things cost money, and they didn't even have that. They were sleeping on the side, and then like a fast food restaurant would let them go to the washroom like one or two at a time, because that's inhumane not to be able to go to washroom to relieve yourself. But then the lineup for the washroom was pretty much an all day line. You had to man, that's not how people are supposed to live. But this is what is happening in Toronto, and the church is pretty much begging for donations and volunteers. And anybody, whether you're of that faith or not, is going over and helping, because it takes a village, and dropping off stuff. And now's a good time if you want to, if you're in Canada, Toronto, you want to clean out your closet, or you got things that you've never used and it's just sitting there, drop it off. No one should go hungry. Exactly, Nikki. We waste so much stuff. When they talk about there's not enough food, that's a lie. We don't want we don't want healthy food. We don't want to eat less. There's no excuse. The restaurants and the grocery stores throw out so much food, it's disgusting. And they can't donate it over here because if it's expired and something happens, you get sued. The stores used to give it away to people for after school programs. Somebody complained, so now they don't give anything because it's expired. You get punished for trying to give away stuff because somehow you open up for a lawsuit because of a few bad people. So now nobody wants to donate and give away stuff if it's the day old stuff because you get a problem. Yeah, Jack Daniels is a full meal for some, and people, it's not sustainable what they're doing. It's great that they're helping, but it's not sustainable. And I was sitting down thinking this is exactly why some churches, especially in other provinces, they have they have a building and they own the land around the building. And a lot of churches have community gardens or like a church garden where they grow crops, they grow food, and that's what they give to their own in-house food bank, and like the city food bank, the town food bank, and people can get fresh fruits and vegetables and so forth, and fruit trees. And the problem that I'm seeing, which has nothing to do with the refugees, but just the church in general in Ontario, well, I'll say Toronto, that live in the city, most of the fringe churches like Pentecostal, non-denominational, a lot of them rent or lease. They don't own the building, which is also a problem. So you're in a space that's not been designed for the use of a church, with like a common mess hall and certain things that like the old buildings used to have. They're not built for that. It's just like an industrial building or whatever they've retrofitted for a church. And they don't own any land. It's just like a parking lot. There's no land, so they're not growing any food. So everything is dependent upon something or someone else, a business, a manufacturing company, to donate in kind. And that's good because a lot of companies can donate stuff because they have extra stuff that didn't sell. But in terms of longevity, like something has to shift, and every corner there's a church or some kind of church. We have to kind of pool together. We can't have all these small churches. One bigger church, and pool your money and stuff. And take care, Howie, thanks for popping in. And work together. I'm seeing now how flawed we've been with having all these factions, and a one over here and one over there, and I don't agree with this and I don't agree with that. We don't agree on anything. Nobody agrees on anything. This is the problem. So we're all having these small little congregations, and we're not pulling together. This is an example. Other churches that cannot house these people, whether it's an individual or like the church as a collective, need to donate money, because nobody can sustain this. If you can't do the work because you don't have the facilities, you can get your church, like how we're doing, donate food, donate fresh stuff, and somebody goes and drops it off. We have to all put in our part. We need to work together as a collective. If you're not part of our faith, it doesn't matter. Let's donate and get these people off the street. We need to start having land to grow our own food as an institution, as a collective, not just individuals. Because very few people can buy a 5 acre or 1 acre. Very few people. Because with all these rates going up, it's unaffordable. So you're going to have to work together, whether it's with your family or a group, or maybe a religious group. Say, okay, we're going to buy 5 acres, and we're going to have a schedule and volunteers, and we grow food. And we all get to share the food, or we donate to the food banks, or we have our own in-house food banks to make sure that people in our community who have young children, who are single parents, can get fresh fruits and vegetables, can get our own fruit trees. We can get, hasn't been sprayed. We can make our own, how the Amish make your own pies, whatever, and we sell it amongst ourselves at cost. And then we have a retail cost for outside people, whatever, however it lands. We need something like that, because I'm telling you right now, if you have a church and it's basically in an industrial building with a parking lot, there's no land, there's nothing to promote self-sufficiency. It's pretty hard to talk about self-sufficiency if there's nothing that's being taught and being incorporated in your community. And most people have a church community. And if you can't be participating in that self-sufficient lifestyle with your church community, where are half these people going to learn it? Yeah, we're on YouTube. Yeah, we're showing our gardens, but some people don't have it to teach their kids about nothing about planting. They live in an apartment. But if they had a community church, they come to church, they They go to that summer church camp for kids. You teach them how to plant. You teach them about bugs and chemicals, and you practical hands on. And every week they get to go home with a bag of groceries and something. I don't know. I'm just talking, but something's not working. The churches that live in the country that are out in the remote areas, they are doing that because they have the land space. The ones in the city don't own ish. Like when you start to take a stock, I'm thinking my small little church, we own our little building. We worked our behind off. And we got into the building, we barely got into the building, we barely got the mortgage, we struggled, and the goal was we want to get this building paid off so that we own something and we could use that as a leverage as a collective and whatever. Half the I'm talking big churches. I don't know all their business, but they don't own the building. They don't own the property. So how they can't leverage nothing. They don't How do you have such a big church with all these people and they have the best musicians and the best singers and the best worship leaders and the best backdrop and they have the church's pump hype and whatever. And then when you step back, they don't own ish. Excuse my French. Good morning, girl got the box. They don't own nothing. They don't own nothing. And that's a big problem. The church has no ownership of nothing. That doesn't make no sense. With all these collections that we're collecting, where's the money going? You're supposed to own the building at the very least. You should own the building by a certain point. There should be a building plan, a building fund that you paid off the mortgage, the building, and all you're paying for is like utilities and maintenance. And maybe you can decide to sell the building or sell the land or something and leverage and get something else. But if we're gonna, you know, if we're gonna survive even just inflation, I'm not even talking about SHTF, inflation and homelessness, and we're gonna have to like have a collective, whether it's a church collective or just your crew or whoever it is. It cannot be done alone, and it's very saddening to see that there's nothing. All the people who are part of the church are gathering to bring together, but the collective should have already had something together. And I'm not pointing saying, "Oh, you didn't do that." I'm pointing at myself too. We are now talking about from before. I was telling them when I did the seminar. I'm going over time, but I'm going to end soon. I talked to the congregation. We had like a conference, and my topic was self-sufficiency, preparedness. I talking about growing food, and I said like we need to start looking at getting land. And we had an opportunity years ago to get land. Wasn't even on our mind. Wasn't even on my radar. We were all like sad that they sold this farm property, but not even on. Had we realized the importance and we had put in at that time, it would have been more affordable than what the price is now. And having a place that you can get out the city and you can grow food and you can raise animals and you can, you know, unfortunately, we weren't thinking along those lines, but we need to think about those stuff because it's not feasible to have people donating money for groceries and food for other people because people are barely feeding themselves. And I'm not even exaggerating. I went to the store one morning. I go for my walks again, and I drove to the store before my shift. Um, and a bag of flour, the big bags, like not 10, maybe 20 pounds. I'm seeing $22 for a bag of flour, whole wheat flour. White flour, maybe it's like 17. Like, I don't remember those prices. And every time I talk to you guys about prices, these prices are ridiculous. I went to the Costco business center yesterday on my way to go clean, and it's about 20 something bucks for a bag of flour, but it's the bigger bags. So you're better off going to Costco. They have like the pastry flour, the whole wheat flour, white flour, cake making, all the different flours. Because to go to a regular store to pay 20 bucks for a bag, I remember a bag of flour used to be less than $10, and I'm not even that old. And now I know why my mom always had prices in her mind. She's like, oh, it used to be this price, it used to be that price, it used to be, because she was like keeping track of the inflation. It's ridiculous. A bag of flour, a simple stuff that you would buy even before the last 6 months has gone up again. And then I think who was it who was saying, oh, Pakistan or India is cutting back the exports of rice. Um, anything that's non-basmati. So everybody was in the stores. I see videos in Canada, US, grabbing bags and bags of rice. That's like it's here. It's coming. Let me see what Growing Up the Box said. Um, they own the luxury cars and the lavish homes they live in. I say a few blocks from one of those TV ministers. His and her Bentley's private. Yeah, man, it's crazy. I think part of hey Antia, I think part of what I'm seeing. 'Cause I know from I have a small church, and when we got audited, we had an audit from the government. They go around and audit, every so often, and the auditor was laughing at the pastors because they got paid so little it wasn't even worth writing down on a piece of paper. It was literally just like, a little trinket here and there. They don't really have a salary. They have their job is their income. The church is not, and then the auditor, that tells you something. The auditor was laughing. It was laughable. So nobody can say that they're stealing money from the church or getting rich off the church. Some pastors do that, especially the big ones. But some of those big churches, I put things in proportion. Yeah, they may be buying Bentleys and big cars, but when you look at the church income, how much of the income, percentage wise, is that minister taking from the collective? Because even though he's rich, if he's taking less than 10% of the total, that's not a lot. So remember to look at things in proportion. Yes, he has a Bentley, a private jet, but what percentage of the income is he or her taking from the collective? And does the collective, does the church own something? Do they have a youth program, a gym? Do they have, camping facility for the kid? Like, are they doing something else? But some of these people are taking like 20, 30. That's excessive. There's too much percentage wise. Plus, they're not paying taxes in the States. They don't pay. That's a whole other thing. But anyways, I'm winding down. Let me catch up with the chat. But something's got to give. Something's got to give, because I'm telling you, the collective can't sustain what's happening right now with the refugees. It's not sustainable to have to ask restaurants to donate food. That's great, but the long game, that's not long game. We need our own supply of food. We need our own, so that when people need, we can give them, and it's not jeopardizing anybody else's financial situation, because everybody's struggling. Even the ones who work 40 plus hours a week, they're one paycheck away from homelessness themselves. If the rates change anymore, like, people are selling just because they know they can't afford it. So let me just sell now, get my money out, and then cohabitate or scale down. It's that bad. The inflation is making people homeless. People who have never been homeless. They don't have any street smarts. They can't live on the street. They're not built for that. They're finally coming out on the news now to say that there would be a shortage of bread, flour. Yes, it was India. Yeah. So I'm looking at the prices of a big bag of rice. Not rice, sorry. Well, and rice and flour, guys. It's a problem. And I know people have been talking about it and we were listening, but let me just be, a Sunday, the day, first day of the week. If you can go out this week and stock up, um, I have flour from before. Maybe the flour is stale. I don't even care. The flour is going to be used for something. Some kind of dumpling is going to be made with that flour. We're come to a point where we can't even waste nothing. Nothing can be wasted. Um, and let me just close off with this. Also, type hashtag urban if you want to drop your link. If you want the weather, you can type that in there, city and state or province. You'll type the weather. I'm trying to get to the bottom and see if I missed anything. I noticed for me, I don't know if it's just me. Um, the feed store, the animal feed store where I buy my chicken food from, I noticed that they have large bags of oats for horses, and I don't see how the horse oats is different than the my oats. So I don't know if anybody knows, but they sell oats, they sell barley, which can be used to make flour, correct? They sell something else. Oats with molasses in it, which is also good for humans. And something else, corn, cracked corn and whatever corn. Now, it might not be the nice sweet corn to make grits or whatever they use, but it's food. So maybe if it gets really bad, some of y'all might have to go to the feed store and buy the big old bags of whatever, because the big old bag of oats is $16 for like 50 pounds. That's cheaper than any oats in the store. So I think I might be getting some buckets with some gamma lids and buying that oats and cooking those oats, because I think you can make porridge. It may take a little longer if it's tougher, but I think you can make porridge with that. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me just catch up with the chat. Our pastor doesn't collect a salary either, even though we want to give him one. He has a separate job and has to provide for his 6 children. Yeah. So the church did give them, like, it gave them, I guess we call them love offerings, like for pastor appreciation month, and every month they get like a stipend. But yeah, they're not on a salary. And the auditor was laughing at them. Like, how do you live on this? This is peanuts. So you can't say that they were taking the money. Yes, it is a lot. Ask yourself, what did Jesus own? You should be Christ. Like, I don't know what he owned, but I want to own something. I want to own something. But yeah, there should be some humbleness of heart and humbleness. That's excessive. That's excessive. Good morning, growing what I eat. Um, Give me a second. I'm wrapping it up because I have to go. I fed the girls already, but I want to collect the last, see what else they laid, change their water, and then head out the door. But I wanted to go live because I didn't go live yesterday, and I only go live once a week, so I don't want to miss a week if I don't have to. Okay, but yeah, the check out the feed store. Sam, I'm telling you, I was sitting there thinking, I can get a bag of oats at the feed store. PV Mart here is like Ace Hardware, and we have another store that I go to in Caledon. We don't have, but I'm like, I think the feed store is the. Oh, so you're saying it's okay. So she's saying that just as good. I'm telling you guys right now, the prices at the feed store for the grains are way better. And I would rather buy the grains and grind it myself. I think Bougie has a grinder. I'm going to be looking into that. Then that way it won't be going so rancid and so. And they sell the gamma lids at the feed store. And I have bay leaf and I can get the oxygen absorbers. So you know what, guys? You're gonna have to be inventive of where you shop, because I'm telling you right now, the grocery store is not where it's at. I've been going to the cash and carry, the business center of Costco, the regular Costco, the restaurant supply place, the and now the feed store. Um, yes, I know that verse, Psalm, and it's funny. Like, you heard, the elders quoting scriptures all your life, but now it makes sense. It makes, because this didn't make sense to you because they're speaking in these parables. Can you say it in regular English, please? But yeah, it's going to cost a whole day's work for 3 measures of barley. Didn't make sense to me, but now I understand. Inflation, cost of living, salary not keeping up with inflation. It's That's what's happening right in our front of our very eyes. So that's my tip for the day, guys. If you have livestock, oh, thank you, Growing One Eat. Appreciate that. If you have livestock already, or you're going to get livestock, go and check out the feed store and see how much things cost, because it's cheaper to buy your oats, your barley. Yes, Miss Renaissance, they have sunflower seeds by the bag loads at the feed store. They have corn, and you can plant the sunflower seeds. You can roast. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You don't have to go hungry. You may not be eating filet mignon, but you certainly don't have to go hungry. It's time to start being strategic in what we're buying, where we're buying it from, and when we're buying. And right now is the time for those of you who've been prepping and or maybe not fully prepped, flour, if not flour, your grains to make flour, and your rice. If these are staples for you, get it now. I saw somebody mentioning, and it makes sense now because, you know, war is a strategy, it's a chess game, but you're playing with people's lives. And they said that even though there's a war right now in the two countries, the blue and the yellow and the other country, um, they haven't declared war. So that's why, technically, legally, in the rules of war, the rules of engagement, NATO hasn't gotten involved, UN hasn't gotten involved because they haven't really declared war. But what I saw on this person was saying that in the particular country, they have changed the drafting ages and they're getting things in order, because when they actually do declare it, it's going to be a different thing going on and it's going to be more problematic from what they're projecting than what's happening now. And that's over there is the breadbasket. That's where we were worried about fertilizer for the last few years. We were worried about, rightfully so, but nothing was really happening to the point where we're like, okay, we're not getting it. We're still getting it. We're not getting flour. We're not getting this. We're not, it's still coming through. It may be sometimes shipping issues, but we're still getting it. Yeah, and we got comfortable with getting it slower, but we haven't wrapped it around our mind that they haven't declared war officially. So there's some things that they're doing unofficially. Yes, they're in war, but they haven't officially declared it. And the other forces being involved and all the other sanctions that could be going on aren't going on, which is going to cause a reaction from this individual. You know what I'm talking about. So stock up now, because now I'm seeing clearly that other countries are pulling back because they know what's going to happen, and it's a tit for tat. Oil is going to, all the resources are going to be on the table and be removed. So stock up on these stuff. um oh, I didn't know that about okra. I like okra. People hate okra. Okra is a good nutrient dense. Okra seed meal is about 33% protein and 32% oil, can be used in various proportions as a substitute for wheat flour in cookies, cupcakes, sweet bread, rolls, and typical bread. That's a good tip, especially for those people who are plant based or they can't eat, certain things. We need to figure this stuff out. And so, good morning, Marlene. This week, guys, check in your area for the flour prices and all these stuff, and you will probably see that, what's going on? Because we're not, I know for me, I haven't been paying enough attention to what's happening over there. Because when they actually declare war, it's going to get real at that point. So India said they're not shipping so much non-basmati rice. I actually eat basmati more than anything else. So right now I'm not really affected, but I'm going to stock up because when things are rough, having some rice and beans and a little bit of gravy, you know, can help feed somebody. And it's a quick meal, even if you can't have, you can mix rice with, I don't know, with egg. I don't know. You can make up some random meals and not be hungry. Stock up on it now and check the feed store. Yeah, I didn't know you can make okra flour, but I'm gonna try anything. I don't want to be hungry. I don't want to be unprepared. Um, I've been talking about land and looking kind of, not really seriously, but I'm gonna have to make a move because I need to get something set up, garden set up, land set up, animal set up, because before you know it's gonna happen. So let's not be caught unaware and unprepared. The signs are there subtly, they're not blatant, it's subtly. And you have to have discernment to see, this is how this is gonna play out. And we may have like 3 to 5 years before things get really problematic, but the homelessness is through the roof. And desperate people don't act right. And the further away you are from the crowds and the buildings and the apartments, the easier, it's not going to be easy, but it'll be easier because you're not going to be fighting 50 million people. You'll be fighting like 500 people. But, and I know I saw Eco's video this week about the drone. And I know Fifi talked about the drone. And a few weeks back, I had the same issue. I'll mention again that I saw a drone and I was recording. So I thought, and they were just like, they weren't that high up. Like literally, I could say, yeah, I can see you. And I'm looking at them, looking at me, looking at what you think you're doing in secret is not secret. And I learned that years ago with my aunt before there was even drones. She would do something on her property. She had 100 acres, and the neighbors already know what's going on when you get to town, and they know what's going on. I'm talking about like what gardens, or if you got 4 new cows, they already know what's going on because people be talking. Now you adding drones and surveillance on top of that. Nothing's in secret, unless you're doing it under the ground, like you have a bunk. Like nothing's in secret. Somebody sees and knows what's going on, but you have to need to know who your enemies are and who your allies are. But people be watching. Little old me in a suburban regular area, someone has something watching. Don't know why, if it's just for fun, testing out the device, or what they're watching. So get your stuff ready, get your supplies ready. Um, Work together with people because it's getting real out there. People are getting desperate and they're being pushed out of their homes. And I know I'm gonna start awkward indoors and figure that out. I Yeah. So keep your eyes open. Thanks for popping in today on my pop up. Have a blessed week, and I will see you. We'll see maybe tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow, but I have to go to Niagara again and take care of some business. I do have to do a garden tour, which is not recorded yet, and show you guys what's happening over here. Heck, we share that too. Don't share everything on social media. I know it's hard not to, but even myself, oh, I'm not sharing my chickens. All of a sudden, the chickens are on there all the every day. Just some kind of chicken video on my Instagram. But on the serious tip, when you're doing it on a serious level, at least don't tell people where you live. Hide your location, if at all. Hide your location. Keep that discreet in the videos. Don't show, the sun angle. Keep that, don't show people where you live. But I know the big chicken on every video. I'm keeping that under the down low. But there was no point. They were making so much noise that the neighbors done heard, even though I told them the other neighbors can hear them. I heard some cockle doodle doing yesterday. I'm like, hush your mouth, man. I had to put up some Taylor Swift and turn up the radio. They know. Nothing is secret, but no one's complaining. I mind my business, they mind their business, and we cool. There's no odor, there's no smell, there's a couple of mice, but they've been mice from before. You know, nothing's a secret. Like what I'm gonna do, put a mask on their mouth and clip their beaks. Come on. I didn't know they were so noisy until I got them, but yeah, nothing's a secret. Somebody's seeing and hearing something. Yeah. Hush your mouth. And then, yeah, check the prices, guys. I saw a bag of almond flour. A small bag was as much as the big bag of whole wheat flour. So those of you who have special dietary needs, it's gonna cost you even more than the rest of us. This is it's getting real out here. Real, real, real. So have a blessed week. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Check the prices in your area and let people know what's going on because maybe they'll start to wake up. Too much of us are sleeping. We gotta wake up. You can't force them to wake up, but you just put the message out there and it's up to them and get your affairs in order. Make sure you check out Monday's My Fly Family, Wednesday's Erica My Fly Family, Saturday is the chat with Nikki and Hands in the Dirt. Thursday is Miss Ellen Pankey, GQuat, and Miss Shirley OG. Planter Gardens on Thursdays as well. Um, African Dreamings on Tuesdays and Fridays. And I think Sundays is Saturday and Sundays. Um, who else? And everybody else does their own pop-ups here and there, but check them out, support each other, keep in touch with each other. If you haven't seen somebody in a while, check in. Sometimes you just need to say, hey, just thinking about you, hope all is well, and let them know that you're just thinking about them. It's rough in these streets. Rough. Yeah, Canada, Toronto, it's horrible what they're doing, but I'll share on it next week. and I'll show you the articles. And um, I'm gonna talk to the one girl today who's a volunteer and ask her what's going on. Just take some notes, and I'll just reiterate it to you guys. But it's bad. It's bad. People are living on the street, and this is not. These are professionals, people who have education. It's bad. The economy is bad. The system is overloaded, but keep your head up. Keep your head up, guys. All right. See you sometime in the week. You will see me. Don't worry. But for sure next Saturday, God willing.